voice of Nassau Community College.
A 2019 Marconi Award finalist from the National Association of Broadcasters.
This is 90.3 WHPC.
WHPC HD Garden City.
Available anytime on your smart speaker.
And anywhere on iHeartRadio.
.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Welcome to another edition of From the Press Box, part of the Sports Talk family here at WHPC. Sports Talk every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. We're on every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Rob Leonard, and joining me, of course, is award-winning sports writer, and yes, he is my brother, Tim Leonard. Hello, Timothy. How are you doing?
Good morning, brother. How are you?
You know how I'm feeling. Anyway, let's talk sports. Who do we start with first, brother? You have a lot on the Yankees.
There's a lot to talk about. There's
Really?
a lot to talk about just in general. You get the Yankees and the Mets. The Mets are cooling down a little bit, but they have the opportunity to hopefully. In the next 9 games that they're playing good teams, and they're going to have to perform. Maybe not at the rate of the recent 15-2 stretch,
Right.
But it's like we said a couple weeks ago. The Mets need to, at the very least, win 6 out of 10 games for the rest of the season. There's only about 40 games left in the season.
Right.
So what the Mets need to do is, basically play 600 ball the rest of the way, because they're chasing teams that are 10 or 11 games over 500, and right now the Mets are, 4 or 5 games over 500.
Yeah, well.
So they need to make up that ground. It's not insurmountable by any means, but obviously it would be easier for the Mets to make up that ground if they play good baseball and they don't have to rely on other teams losing or going into slumps or maybe getting injuries or whatever. But this is the Mets' task at this point.
Yeah, but teams, it always helps to have a team lose. You can keep winning. If the other teams are winning, then you're not going anywhere.
Right, of course. And that was something that we actually saw with the Yankees a couple weeks ago when they were on riding a hot streak and they won 9 in a row.
Right.
And Tampa Bay at that point at the same time had won 7 in a row. And I'm sure Tampa Bay was probably very frustrated, saying to themselves, "Hey, we just won 7 in a row. We didn't pick up anything." So
right.
that's why if the Mets can win 6 out of every 10 games, and it doesn't have to be 6. I mean, obviously you'd love to win 8 out of 10, during one of those segments, but they can't go 3-7 in those games. And the point of the season that they have coming up, the next 9 days, they're playing the Indians, who the Yankees just played, the Braves, and the Cubs. And the Braves obviously are looking to clinch first place and finish that off. I mean, obviously it's not going to happen this week, but they have the lead in the division. They have it by a decent amount. The Cubs are one of those teams the Mets are battling for the wild card. So here they are with 9 home games against pretty good opponents. There's no easy games here. There's no there's no Baltimore Orioles here for the Mets to play. These are all teams that are good teams, and they are playing for something, whether it's playoff spots or division title. So, it's going to be a good test for the Mets. And again, we're going to find out, kind of like we did last week. I mean, the Mets wound up they lost 2 or 3 to the Braves in Atlanta, and then they took 2 out of 3 against the Royals in Kansas City. Now, personally, I would have been a lot happier with a 4-2 roadie, as they called it, but
I would too. I said the Mets had to win 2 out of 3 for
but
each series.
It doesn't sound like much of a difference between 3-3 and 4-2, but the way the wild card race is so jam packed right now, it really does make a difference. It makes a pretty big difference, as a matter of fact, because where you get the standings up there, brother?
No, I don't.
All right. The Mets right now, I'm going by memory. I think they're 5 games over 500. The teams that they're chasing are 11 games over 500. So that's just changing a couple of results. That's right. If you change 3 results, you turn 3 losses into 3 wins. And then the Mets are that team that's being chased.
Okay, well, let's see here. Let's see. The Mets are 5-16.
No, what's the record?
64-60.
So they're 4 games over 5.
Right. And Philadelphia is 2. You got a nice thing with the NL East.
Yeah, but go to the standings where it says wild cards games back.
It doesn't say that.
Oh, I don't know. Then
it says games back.
We need different standings then.
Okay,
but you're looking at the Nationals or one of the teams that's being chased.
Yes, the Nationals.
And, one of the teams in the Central probably the Cardinals.
No, Chicago.
All right, well, one of those two, Chicago or the Cubs, or
well,
St.
right
Louis.
now, St. Louis and Chicago are basically the same, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and Milwaukee's still in it. There are a lot of teams still hanging around in the National League East as opposed to the American League, where there's basically 3 teams fighting for 2 spots.
Right.
And I'm not even counting the Red Sox anymore because they're like 7 games out of the wild card race. In fact, the Red Sox basically have the same record as the Mets do, but the problem there is that the National League is a lot of parity, and in the American League you have a lot of really good teams.
No,
that's why the Red Sox are out of it, as far as I'm concerned. But we also have to talk about your boy, brother Pete Alonso, the polar bear, broke the National League rookie record for home runs in a season with his 40th bomb of the year yesterday.
Incredible if you think about
it. It really is, and we're still talking. He's got a month and a half left in the season. Who knows how many home runs he's going to hit? I mean,
he's making it look too easy almost.
Well,
you know?
I tend to think that as the season winds down, especially his rookie year, I think that he's probably going to get gassed to a certain point. But that being said, here we are on August 19th, and he has 40 home runs.
Right.
And there are at least 5 weeks left in the season. It's not incomprehensible for him to hit another 10 home runs. Now, the major league record for home runs in a season by a rookie, as we both know, is Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees, who hit 52 in 2017. Alonso's got a chance at that. It wouldn't be crazy to say that Alonso could hit 13 more home runs in the last 40-some games.
I agree.
You know, I mean, it's more of a pace than he's been on, even though he's got 40, but. It's certainly doable.
I agree.
So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And if Alonso gets hot, which is kind of what the Mets need, even though this kid's been doing it pretty much all season, he really hasn't had any kind of a real extended slump or bad streak or anything. He's just. It seems like every few days he hits another home run, and it's not like he's hitting 2 or 3 in a game necessarily, although he has done that, but. It's just, okay, here's Pete Alonso hitting another home run. Good for him. So, that's what happened. That's like what happened yesterday. I give some credit to the fan who caught the ball, and he made a point after the game to mention the fan because it was Royals fan who caught the ball and just gave it back to Alonso, no questions asked. Pete was good enough to give the person quite a bit of merchandise, souvenirs, and whatnot. I'm sure there was a bat involved. I'm probably sure there was a jersey involved too, and signed everything, baseball, and that's fans. That's what they want. They're not necessarily looking to hold up the guy for money. And let's face facts. Is it kind of significant? He broke a rookie record. Well, yeah, but Cody Bellinger set the record a couple of years ago.
Right.
So the National League record. So if he passes Aaron Judge, that baseball would be worth something.
Okay, well, I got the World Wild Card thing here for the NL East. Nationals are plus 1.5.
Right.
The Mets are 2.0. Phillies 2.0. Milwaukee's 2.0.
2 games back, you mean?
Yeah.
All right.
Milwaukee's 2. San Francisco's 3.5. And so
that's what I'm saying. All those teams are bunched up, and we keep talking about this. It's a situation where, and that's how the Nationals got into the top spot in the wild card is because they won a bunch of games in a row, and they had a fairly extended hot streak. The Mets had a fairly extended hot streak that put them into that position that they're chasing, but they don't necessarily, like I said, they don't need another 15-2, but an 8-2 10-game span. Would do great things for them.
Well, let's see what the schedule is.
They need one more little extended I don't even want to say winning streak. They just need a good 10-game or 12-game block where they go 8-2 or 9-3 or something like that, where that jumps them up to 10 or 11 games above 500. Chances are somewhere right around that number is going to wind up as a wild card.
Well, you have the Indians Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The Braves again,
right?
Which is, I think, the most important.
Not necessarily.
I do.
Not necessarily.
Then you got the Cubbies,
because like I said, you're talking about three good teams, and all of them have something to play for. So you can't just focus on the Braves because they're not catching the Braves. That's
no, but it's National League East teams. I mean, think about it. You got Braves, then you got the Phillies the next weekend,
right?
Then you got the Nationals, then the Phillies again.
That National Series is going to be the big series,
yeah,
because that's the team they're really battling with for this wild card.
And then
that's why that's more important than the Braves.
Then there's another Phillies home. They're home first weekend in September. Then the last series of the season is against Atlanta. So,
and that could be critical. And I tell you what, the possible good thing about that is that the Braves, if they have the division clinched by then, and if they can't really do anything in terms of standings and where they're going to be, like, because the Dodgers are going to have the number one seed. We all know that. That's the Dodgers are by far the best team in the National League. But if the Braves don't necessarily have anything to play for, don't be surprised if they rest a bunch of their guys.
Right.
Ronald Acuna will be on the bench. They'll want to rest their pitchers to set them up for game one, and so you might see some AAA guy who's there for the day, or maybe they'll do a bullpen start or something like that. So that might sound bad that the Mets are playing the Braves in the last 3 games of the season, but it actually could wind up working to their advantage.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised if they actually win the 3, because I think maybe Atlanta, if they're so far ahead, doesn't put out the big players, which could cause a problem.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think the Braves would put out like a wholesale AAA lineup, because if the Mets are playing for something, then the Braves are kind of obligated to play some of their better players, but some guys would see some rest. And they're not necessarily obligated to put out a team because the Mets are playing for something. They're also playing for something, but they would want to get some rest for their guys and get them ready for the playoffs. So you wouldn't necessarily be able to fault them. It'd be different if it was like a last place team,
right?
And they said, you know what, season's over. We're just going to tell our guys, forget it, don't worry about it. We're done. We're just going to play some AAA guys. If a bad team like that is playing against a team that is in, whether it's a pennant race, a wild card race, whatever, that team is obligated to put their best team out there.
Well, too bad they're not playing the Marlins anytime.
Well, it's like I said. I mean, the Marlins are a strange team right now because they do have good young pitchers, but a lot of those guys are still kind of finding themselves as major leaguers, and they haven't necessarily proven themselves as major leaguers yet. But that being said, they're still capable of putting up 7 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, that kind of night, and 8 strikeouts, and all of a sudden the Mets are looking like that happened to Kansas City the other night. Where the Mets couldn't get any hits, and
right.
then I forget which bullpen guy it was, but he gave up 2 runs in like the 8th inning or whatever it was, and the game was over. And to me, you're playing the Royals. That's like a gift from the schedule maker at that point in the season while you're fighting for a wild card. It's, thank you very much for giving us the Kansas City Royals. We should sweep this series. And especially after you lost 2 out of 3 to the Braves, you could have gotten one of those games back.
I agree with
that. It was a little bit of a rough situation. It's just, like I said, if I was a Met fan, I would have been a lot happier with 4-2 than 3-3. 3-3 is treading water. 4-2, at least you're still making some progress.
Yeah.
So, let's see. What else? We got, the other thing I wanted to mention, brother. I don't know where this came from, but at some point I want to say about 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, people were starting to say, there were some whispers coming up where people were saying, well, I don't know about Pete Alonso as a lock for Rookie of the Year.
He's going to be MVP.
Well, he's not going to be MVP.
Why not?
No.
Met fans are already cheering it.
Since when do Met fans get what they want? Come on. But Fernando Tatis Jr. for the Padres has been hitting the ball at a tremendous rate. And for, like I said, a little while, people were saying, well, Tatis might sneak into the conversation, and look at how good this guy is, and he might wind up being the better player in the future. Well, that's not what you're voting on when you're voting for Rookie of the Year. Right. You're not a scout. You're not Keith Law from ESPN who's grading all these prospects. You are voting for performance. Now, to me, Pete Alonso has from almost day one been the Rookie of the Year. He's played well, like I said, the entire year. He's had very few slip-ups.
I'm looking at his stats right now. 121 hits, 40 home runs, 95 RBI, and he's batting .271. If that average was more like .285...
271 is not a bad average these days. There's not a lot of 300 hitters these days.
Yeah, well, I think that would help just a little bit.
But Tatis, and here's why I mentioned Tatis, because his average is probably around 320 or something. He really was hitting the ball. But Tatis just went on the IL.
Okay. And
he likely is out for the season. So that will end any talk about, because this is his second time on the IL this year. So that's going to end any talk really about Tatis getting Rookie of the Year. I think he'll get a lot of second place votes, but I'd be stunned if Alonso doesn't win it unanimously at this point. Because yes, Fernando Tatis is an extraordinary player. In fact, he probably will wind up his career as a better player than Pete Alonso. He's certainly a more toolsy player. He does everything. He plays defense. He can run. He's a hitter for average and power, and he can play plays pretty good defense too. So as far as a well balanced player, yes, Tatis is your guy. But for who has done what this season, to me it's a no brainer that Pete Alonso is your Rookie of the Year.
Well, I have no doubt about that. Another Met who's the Rookie of the Year. Mets have had a lot of rookies.
They've had a few, not necessarily recently, but
no.
You had Dockett and Darryl back to back back in the day. I don't know who else, but
Seaver.
Well, Seaver was a real long time ago. But yeah, the Mets, because that's the Mets thing. That's what they do. They develop players. Did David Wright win the Rookie of the Year? Check that out. But that's the Mets. That's how they operate. They want to be able to develop players and have those guys be Rookie of the Year. Meanwhile, last few years, some Yankees have gotten Rookie of the Year as they've developed players.
Okay, it says here,
what do we got?
Seaver in 67, John Matlack in 72, nice. Darryl in 83, and Doc in 84.
And none since 84?
I guess, yeah.
See, that's why the Mets have struggled for the most part.
Oh, well.
Have had a handful of good years in there, but that's a reason. It's because they haven't developed those
then
guys.
It says here's another one on the Ultimate Mets Day. It says Rookie of the Year, Jacob deGrom.
Was he?
That doesn't sound right, does it?
I don't remember. So
I don't even. Okay.
Possible.
Could be.
Possible.
We'll go with it.
So anyway, that's where the Mets are right now. We talked about something similar with the Yankees. Remember a couple of years ago with the Yankees when they were trying to scrap their way into the playoffs?
Right.
And you remember what I said back then? Talk to me when they get 10 games over 500. Because you need to be at that position to really consider yourself a serious wild card contender. And if you don't get to 10 games above 500, then chances are you're not going to be in the mix. Because now you're talking about 86 wins, like 86 and 76. And that's probably not good enough for the wild card. You probably need about 88 wins, maybe even 89. So obviously every game plus 86 is another minus in the loss column. So you're going from 10 to 12 to 14. So if you go 87, 87 and 75, that's 12 games over 500, right? Like you said, the Mets are 4 games over 500.
Right.
It's nice how they've rallied. It's nice what they've done in the last few weeks. But, this was the lull that we kind of expected after the big long streak that they put together. They need another streak. And the sooner they get there, the better, because you can't leave that until the last week or two of the season, because then every game you play becomes a big game, And then if you somehow do make it to the playoffs, you're so mentally worn out by the time you get there that they'd probably get destroyed anyway. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, the Mets they were certainly the feel good story for a couple of weeks there. They need to get that magic back, that clutch performance. They need to get all of that back, and they need to get it back in a hurry.
Did you ever hear something called This Year in Baseball Awards? It seems to be
This Week in Baseball Awards.
It's now called the Esurance MLB Awards, and
who's getting what? I don't even know.
It
There's
says
so many
each
awards.
winner is selected by a vote of fans, MLB alumni, each team's front office, members of the media, and SABR, SABR.
Yeah, that's the
It's a fan
sabermetric
thing.
guys.
It's a fan thing.
But what are they voting for? Like best player by position?
I don't know. Well, anyway, David Wright won that. David Wright came in middle of July, so you know what? If he'd started maybe the beginning of the season, he would have been.
Well, that's why. I mean, that was something Alonso pointed out.
293 batting average.
Back then that was a lot more possible because nobody played a shift. But that's what Alonso mentioned that yesterday after the game. And, while he was talking to the press, he said, look, I didn't even know if I was going to make the team out of spring training. And I'll tell you what, thankfully for the Mets, they were smart enough to say, all right, you know what? Let's not screw with this kid's service clock. We need him here now because otherwise who's playing first base for us? And the answer was, we don't know. So let's plug in Alonso. At least we know the kid will hit. I certainly don't think that they thought that he would hit like he has and put 40 bombs out. But this kid, he's been fantastic, and good for him, good for the Mets, good for Met fans that they have this kind of player to cheer for who knows how many years, but at least the next 5, if not 10 or 15.
We hope. Look what happened to David Wright. I know it was an injury, and
Yeah, but he was still there for 10 years.
Yeah, I know.
So Alonso he's a franchise player. He's a face of a franchise player, just like David Wright was. He's a guy, he gets along with the press. The home run derby was a big deal because it really kind of put him on the map around the country. Not everybody knew who Pete Alonso was. And when you win the home run derby at the All-Star game, you can't help but have everybody know who you are.
Right.
So I'm sure his life changed a little bit after that because now all of a sudden everybody recognizes him. Whereas even in New York, before the home run derby, people were, he was probably still able to kind of go out and maybe not be anonymous, but maybe not have everybody recognize him. Now, I'm sure he's getting recognized by a lot of people.
Which is a good thing. We're going to take a break right now. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. And, Tim, you're on Twitter
at Real Tim Leonard.
All hit music.
For all those songs radio has forgotten about, join me, Big Ed, Mondays from 10 a.m. till noon for The Good Gold Show. We'll bring back all the great hits of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and more. The sounds of doo-wop to disco, all the Motown, soul, and great rock and roll. We'll even take your requests and dedications to The Good Gold Show.
Music.
On the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
I will fully admit that whole wheat bread is healthier than other breads, but there's a reason we have white bread. It tastes better, it has better texture, it's fluffier. Have you ever heard of a PB&J pumpernickel?
There isn't even that much of a difference, except whole wheat has more fiber. It's healthier than white bread.
I have just 3 words for you. Pastrami on rye. Drop the mic.
Have you ever had rye bread? It's disgusting. It's coarse, it's hard to chew when they have seeds. Disgusting.
Well, you've never had pastrami on rye, or you wouldn't be saying that.
Guys, what are you arguing about bread? This is a political show.
Join us on the Friendly Filibuster every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Don't worry, we won't argue about bread.
Tell your friends about the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
Check it out.
We're talking about, someone's choice of a food item that they use to use it as a weapon. So Florida man yesterday smashed his wife in the face, right?
Nicely.
With a Taco Bell burrito.
This man's a legend.
Causing some to go up into her nose. According to police who arrested the suspect on a domestic battery charge.
He better have said something cool right before throwing it.
quiero Taco Bell.
Live mas.
Yeah, live mas. Live mas. Live no mas.
Nassau Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9. On the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
.3 WHPC from the press box on your radio, your app, your iHeartRadio app, your TuneIn.com app, of course, begins somewhere, and that is nccradio.org. We're also on Facebook Live with fancy schmancy cameras now, and the board audio going right through Facebook. So the old days of Tim having the camera on him and having the microphone on the phone pick up everything is no more. So now, when next time we do an interview
better sound
on the phone, you'll hear that too.
Better sound quality.
Yeah. So, by the way, Jacob deGrom, definitely Rookie of the Year in 2014.
Okay, good for him.
I would have thought, like you said, David Wright also, but
no.
No, I guess not.
Unlucky.
Anyway, brother, quickly, I know we want to talk about the Yankees, but I saw this thing about the Russian billionaire. And when I see Russian billionaire, I always think a friend of Putin.
Well, he is.
I know. Anyway, he is.
You're correct on this one, brother.
After sort of, you think about how the Barclays Center happened and how the Nets moved there. It wasn't done with finesse. And now the guy who did that has decided to sell out everything.
Yes, Mikhail Prokhorov.
Yeah, he decided to sell his remaining stake in the Brooklyn Nets and full ownership of the Barclays Center to, how do you say his name? Joe
Tsai, as far as I know. But I do want to point out some real good reporting on this from Brian Lewis of the New York Post. He as far as I know, he had just about all of these stories first. But yes, as you said, brother, Mikhail Prokhorov has officially agreed to sell his remaining stake in the Brooklyn Nets and full ownership of the Barclays Center to Joe Tsai, who is a founding partner or the founder of a company called Alibaba. I'm not sure what they do, but
they're like
apparently they're quite successful.
They're like an Amazon, but they
of what, in the Middle East or something?
No, I don't know. They've gotten, I don't know.
Well, he's obviously got a lot of money.
Yeah,
because he paid $1 billion for a 49% share of the Nets in 2018, and is paying an additional $1.35 billion for the remaining 51%. And then Tsai will pay nearly $1 billion in a separate deal for the Barclays Center, so the Nets aren't homeless. The Nets said that the transaction should be finalized by the end of September. And Brett Yormark, who has served as the CEO of the Nets since 2005, will step down from his post after overseeing the transition to the new ownership.
You think about it, are the Nets worth that much? If the Nets are worth that much, despite what you say about the Knicks, what are the Knicks worth then?
The Knicks, we've said it before, the Knicks are worth a minimum of $4 billion.
At least.
And this deal could make them worth more.
It's like when the Clippers went for $2 billion.
And people said it was crazy, and it was.
But look, everything's popping up now.
But here's the point, though, that you have to look at and why the Nets are more valuable now. And the reason is because they signed Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Sure.
And we haven't even seen those two play in a Nets uniform yet. And we're not going to see Durant if at all this season. Then if we do, it'll be very late in the season. But superstars make teams. And right now the Nets have two superstars, finally.
Yep.
They were able to attract these guys to Brooklyn, and the franchise has definitely stepped out of the Knicks' shadow at this point. Now, whether or not that leads to the kind of excitement and buzz that the Knicks have generated in New York when they're good, I don't even want to say now, because the Knicks have really had very little buzz for probably close to 2 decades now. But the Nets,
well, they've always had a buzz. It's just never been a successful buzz. I think that's a better way to put it.
The Knicks have always been a popular team.
Yeah.
New York is a basketball town, and people love the Knicks. But I think people are a little fed up with the Knicks, though.
Well,
because
but you know what? When out of I think any team in New York, when the Knicks are winning, there is a great buzz in New York.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the Mets and the Yankees, they have their separate fans. They never cross over. The Nets have been trying to get noticed for 25 years. But when the Knicks, man, it's been a while, but when the Knicks are winning, it is a fantastic feeling in New York.
Absolutely. People like when the Knicks win. And the sad part is it's happened so infrequently in the last 20, 30 years. Yep. And, you know, when Patrick Ewing was leading them to the NBA Finals against the Rockets, the city was lit up.
It was a buzz.
There was such a buzz.
We should say also that the Nets bought out the New York Liberty, and they're playing up in Westchester right now. But they played a game a couple of weeks ago at the Barclays Center, drew 7,000 people, which I thought was pretty good, considering they're playing in Westchester and nothing wrong with that place. But I've been there; it's a small place.
Just I'll throw a side note out there, brother. That's actually unrelated to basketball. Your favorite Sky Blue, the women's soccer team, played at Red Bull Arena yesterday, and they drew 9,000 for that game.
Well, I worry about a team that doesn't even have the city in their name. You know?
I think there was a little test balloon. I think they're going to they might try to play more games there and maybe publicize it a little better because I didn't even know they were playing there.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, part of it is it's just ridiculous where you try to, especially in soccer, these generic names, football, FC, New York or whatever.
Well, I mean, I said that when that team was created. And like I said, I don't want to get too much of a tangent here because I finish up with the Nets. But when they announced the name of the team as Sky Blue, I was kind of like, how about Jersey or whatever? I mean, you can't call it Rutgers, but that's where the team is going to play. Yeah. But something geographical as opposed to look, the sky is blue. I mean,
what does that mean?
It was a bad marketing decision, I thought, but there was a reason for it, and I don't remember what it was.
And I do know just from watching the game, some of the games that the women's soccer has been drawing their amount of fans, which is what you want.
There's been a continued buzz since the Women's World Cup that is continuing, and I know 9,000 doesn't sound like much, but that's at least double what they were getting at Rutgers. So it's encouraging that, and Tobin Heath wound up scoring a goal. She's from Jersey, so she was well chuffed, as the Brits would say about scoring. Needless to say, she's quite pleased.
What about soccer, brother? We were watching soccer over the weekend.
Just one more thing about the Nets, brother. Mr. Sy, the $2.35 billion total value of the deal for the team, that's not including the arena. That makes it the largest purchase price for an American professional sports team, which surpasses the $2.2 billion paid by David Tepper to buy the Carolina Panthers, obviously of the NFL, and Tillman Fertitta. I don't know. I've never heard of this guy. He bought the Houston Rockets for $2.2 billion. So the Nets right now are the most expensive franchise in pro sports. Now, again, like you said, if Dolan decided to put the Knicks up for sale tomorrow, the sale price would more than double that. So, I mean, I'm not saying the Nets are the most valuable franchise in sports. I'm just saying they're the biggest sale right now. Like the Cowboys, if the Cowboys were sold tomorrow, they'd probably get at least $6 billion for them.
Well, you would include their stadium too, and
but I'm just saying this is what they paid for the franchise,
right?
And the same thing, if the Yankees, if the Steinbrenners decide to put up the Yankees for sale tomorrow, now you're looking probably $7 billion for the Yankees. I mean, we're talking about between the Cowboys and the Yankees. These are teams that print money,
right? Well, the Yankees also own part of their TV network,
right? All of that
stadium,
but I'm just talking a franchise.
Right,
I'm not talking TV deals. I'm not talking stadiums. I'm just talking franchises.
TV, usually it's all put together.
Right. But I'm saying that the total value of this deal was approximately $3.35 billion because he's paying $1 billion for the arena. But I'm just talking about franchise.
Yeah, I know.
So the rest of it, separate deals. But like I said, the Nets are certainly not the most expensive franchise around, but right now they are the team that has sold for the most. So congratulations to the Nets.
Anyway, Tim, we were watching soccer. Tim and I went away this weekend with our mom and sister to our cousin Katie's wedding.
Good time.
Congratulations, Katie and Casey. life be filled with happiness. And
Yes, and it was Kate's birthday yesterday too.
Yeah, and my birthday tomorrow. And
brother's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, brother!
So Tim always watches. He puts on NBCSN, and he just sits there
or NBC. It's good. It's good to watch the Premier League. Watch some soccer.
And Tim was happy about a handball that got called.
Absolutely, the VAR.
I'm not sure.
I
if it
still
was a
love
real
the
handball.
VAR.
I don't think it was a real handball.
No, but all right. Wait. Now, first, let me just back up and give some background here. The big match of the weekend in the Premier League came on Saturday. Tottenham played at Manchester City. The score wound up being a 2-2 draw, which for my Spurs was an outstanding result because Manchester City is the 2-time defending champion in the Premier League. So to go to their home stadium and come out of there with a point,
right?
Especially when Tottenham was outshot 30-3. I mean, they really were outplayed, but they still managed to steal a point, as they say. Now, Manchester City scored what they thought was the go-ahead goal in stoppage time. I think it was like the 93rd minute. But now they have what they call the VAR, video-assisted referee, and there is a new rule that they put in place, the Premier League put in place this season, that said a goal cannot be scored or set up by a ball that hits a player in the hand or the arm, which would be, was called a handball. That's what happened. And I don't know if it's the right thing because what happened was
that
cross
rule only in Premier League?
As far as I know, yes.
In the MLS?
I don't think it is because they were talking about it after the game and they were saying we need to think about this and maybe change the rule back. And that was Mauricio Pochettino, the Tottenham manager, who said that. Or one of the people who said that. But a cross came in and it hit the Manchester City player quite accidentally. I'm not going to sit here and say. I mean, it was there was no intent at all, but it hit off his arm. It went to Gabriel Jesus. He shot. The ball goes in. By the definition of this new rule, it's not a goal. And the VAR, the video assisted referee, they went to the replay and they looked at it, and you could see the ball deflected off his arm, went right to Jesus. He shot. By the rule definition, no goal.
Yeah,
and you can't complain about it if you're Manchester City. That's the rule.
I know, but it's a bad rule, and I think they're going to go back on it. The problem is, and we both played soccer. Yeah, there's a difference of sticking your arm out, or having your arm next to your body where it's not moving. Now you can say, well, your arm is there, and if your arm wasn't there, let's say you had it high up, your ball would go right through you because it hit your arm or hand or whatever. So, but if it's not on purpose, and we've seen handballs that are on purpose,
of course,
I think it would be a different situation. That's all. Well, but I can understand they're trying this. Video is the new thing in all the sports. In many ways, it's important. It saved a lot of things, but
it got Tottenham to the Champions League semifinals last year because the same thing happened against Manchester City. They thought they scored a goal late. Raheem Sterling, and as it turned out, he was literally inches offside.
Right.
And the VAR called it back. They went to the replay. They looked at it. You can see by the way they cut the grass. It's all straight lines across, and you can see, he was offside. So goal disallowed. And the funny thing was on YouTube. There was a kid last year, a Manchester City fan, who's got his camera with a selfie stick, and he's taking pictures of himself during, like he was screaming last year and celebrating and everything. They had the same kid on YouTube for this game on Saturday, and he's screaming about, Jesus scored, he's celebrating, he's dancing, he's going, and he's like, no VAR this year, not this time. And then all of a sudden he stops celebrating, he goes, uh-oh.
Well... Also, and maybe the landscapers who cut the grass, maybe they should go sideways or something.
No, I mean it's not, it's not going to matter. But that's why they cut the grass that way. They cut it in I don't know, like maybe 10-yard strips or whatever. But you can see it helps the referees be able to see if a player is offside or not.
I understand. We're going to take a break right now, brother. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC, and. Tim, you're a Twitter at?
At Real Tim Leonard.
A Super Bowl champion, U.S. Congressman, publisher of Long Island Business News, award-winning authors, physical fitness, life coach, and celebrities like Billy Crystal and Eddie Murphy. I had no idea so many awesome people got their start at Nassau Community College.
Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and Lion Tales are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50-plus years. Hosted by Aurora Workman, the president of Nassau Community College Alumni Association, and Dr. Linda Nadian, a proud Nassau graduate. Let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales, a Nassau Community College Foundation production. Listen every Monday afternoon at 3:30 on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
It's now easier to listen to the voice of Nassau Community College on your phone.
Stay connected to your favorite radio station anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app.
Never miss shows like the Nassau Morning Madhouse, It's Saucy, or the Radio Rumble Again.
Streaming 24/7, 365. Listen to WHPC everywhere.
iHeartRadio is radio and unlimited music all in one app.
Listen live now in the iHeartRadio app and at iHeartRadio.com.
Just search for 90.3 WHPC.
Yeah. Hey, check it out. I'm gonna need you to turn up your volume.
No. I'm supposed to say that. Come on. Hey, look, check it out. It's your guy, DJ Steph, the saucy man himself. Tune into It's Saucy, where I play nothing but hip-hop and reggae music.
1, 2, 3, hit me!
Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. on the voice of Nassau Community College on 90.3 WHPC.
Listen!
90.3 WHPC from the press box here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Of course, it becomes a podcast later on Spreaker and iHeartRadio. You know, places where you find podcasts. By the way, brother, just a very quick thing also. Jack Whitaker died.
Yeah, sad news. 95.
He was 95.
That's a life right there.
One of the great announcers. First of all, he had the voice. But second of all, he had the writing ability.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see that a lot.
No.
Especially today. Maybe Oberman would be one of those guys. Jim Nantz would be maybe another guy who could, write as, you can read it and say, wow, and then you hear it and you go, wow, even more.
Okay.
Whitaker, did basically every sport. He did the first
Super Bowl.
His first Super Bowl among many things. I used to see him on horse racing a lot for some reason. And the thing is,
he did a lot of golf.
He would do his little thing, and I would I'm not a big horse racing guy, but I'd say, oh, Jack Whitaker's on, I'll watch him. So, just one of the true icons. Died. When did he die? The other day. He died Sunday.
Cedric Benson, brother, also a name that might be a little more well known with the younger crowd. 36 years old, died in a motorcycle accident. Former running back for the Chicago Bears and Cincinnati Bengals.
Wow. So
that's some sad news. It's, obviously a tragic loss for a guy who was obviously still very young.
Right. Also, quickly about the Islanders, they are going to be playing in Elmont, the Belmont Arena, or whatever they're going to call it. Basically, was voted through on Thursday.
I would like them to call it Leonard Arena.
Well, that's not going to happen. Maybe Cuomo Arena. I don't know. I assume there'll be a sponsorship deal, as there are with every, except for the Garden. Madison Square Garden is its own.
We should work on it from the Pressbox Arena.
Yeah, you got to pay a lot of people off of that.
It's true. Naming rights are expensive.
Yeah. So anyway, it's going to be in Elmont. I know exactly where it is because at one point in my life I lived literally 2 blocks away from this.
We should give the listeners a tour. We should plan something.
Well, anyway,
since you know exactly where it's going to be, we'll bring the listeners over there.
Yeah. My only qualm is, and I can understand the surrounding communities are worried about traffic. Noise is nothing. That's something different. Mm-hmm. But the traffic on game days is going to be heck because, mind you, they are building a train station there, so people are going to be coming in from Jamaica But the thing about it is, not everyone's going to take the Southern State Parkway or the Northern State Parkway and then come down on the Cross Island. There are going to be people cutting through, literally from the Meadowbrook Parkway on Hempstead, through Hempstead Turnpike all the way down.
Probably.
And that's going to be a pain because there are many places where it's a one-lane road, one lane each way.
And it's already a pretty heavily used road.
Yeah, so that's going to be heck. I really wish that the thing at the Coliseum, why can't they just break the contract that the people who run the Coliseum, the Barclays Center,
because they want something new and shiny.
Yeah,
and the Coliseum might be fairly new and fairly shiny.
But they could have broke the contract there and then build a new Coliseum. That's all. I mean, it's a perfect place. You get in and out pretty fast once you get out of the actual parking lot at the Coliseum.
It's close. The access roads are all there, and
so it's just going to be a pain. I think it's still. I mean, the only difference is that we'll be able to drive to an Islander game again because you can't drive to Brooklyn. There's no real parking there. So
no,
and but people who've taken the train are going to get stuck because you got to go back to Jamaica or whatever. So it's interesting how this is all working out. 19,000 seats for this arena. But they also have partnerships, which,
of course,
using different names, but they're well-known people that sort of try to get the Coliseum going too. So we'll see what happens. They say it'll be done by 2021.
Yes.
Somewhere around
Did you mention the $1.3 billion that it's going to cost to get this thing done?
Yeah, I saw that. I think it's probably a little more by the time
it usually is.
There usually is. Did we talk about the Yankees yet, brother?
Not yet, brother. I thought you were saving the best for last. Although I did want to quickly mention soccer. I just wanted to go back to something. Your guy, brother, the American Christian Pulisic, made his first Premier League start with Chelsea this season. Chelsea wound up with a 1-1 draw against Leicester. And your guys, Liverpool, also. Liverpool won this thing. That I still don't understand this. They beat Chelsea in penalty kicks to win the Champions Winners' Cup. Now, that pits the winner of the Champions League, which was Liverpool, against the winner of the Europa League, which is basically like having the NCAA tournament winner playing the NIT winner. I mean, that's what the two things are. My friends over in the UK are talking about how this is a big match and it's a legitimate trophy and et cetera, et cetera. To me, it was glorified exhibition. And they're like, oh, you would say it differently if Tottenham was in the match. And I'm like, no, I really wouldn't. Apparently they went to Turkey or something to play this game, which had two English teams in it. I don't know why they had to go all the way to Turkey. They played it in the middle of the week, and it just seemed ridiculous. And Liverpool wound up winning in penalty kicks, so congratulations to your Liverpool guys. But I don't see the reason for it.
Okay, let's talk Yankees, brother. What's going on with them?
Nothing bad.
It's just there seems to be something.
You can only be happy with what's going on with the
Yankees. There's a road that's going in the wrong area for the Yankees.
That's perception.
Even though they're doing really well. They're one of the top 3 teams in baseball right now.
Maybe top 2.
I mean, it's just,
with that, I've said this for weeks. To me, the World Series winner will be either the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Houston Astros, or the New York Yankees. Nobody else is winning the World Series this year. Those are 3 clearly superior teams to the rest of baseball. Now, I think what the perception that is coming across, and especially probably let's say since the All-Star break, is that the Yankees are somehow the third of those 3 teams. Now, I could take the easy way out and say, well, geez, look at all the injuries they've had this year, and Gio Urshela is a full-time player, and he's a guy who's never done anything in the major leagues before, but now he's a full-time player. Stanton has gotten 39 at bats all season. El Gary just came off his second stint on the IL. Severino hasn't thrown a pitch yet, although he did throw off a bullpen mound yesterday. Right. So he's now progressing still, but painfully slow. And that's the easy way out, to say, all right, look at all the injuries they've had, and they're still in it. They're still one of the best teams.
They are. A lot of teams would have folded, and this team hasn't. It's just the opposite.
But the point that I was making is that the Yankees seemingly this year have seemingly beaten all of the teams they're supposed to beat. Like, they just finished up another series with the Orioles, and this is the last time they were going to play the Orioles this season. But the Yankees went 17-2 against the Orioles this season. They won all 10 games they played at Camden Yards. That's a demolition of a team.
But it isn't the Orioles.
But it's the Orioles. They're a bad team.
They're a horrible team.
That's what you're supposed to do against a team like that, is just pummel them and keep beating them. The Yankees hit 61 home runs against the Orioles this season. That is a Major League record. Gleyber Torres and Gary Sanchez became the first set of Yankee teammates to reach double figures in home runs against a single opponent in a season since Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig did it in 1927.
Wow.
All right, and of course, that was against the Red Sox. But when you're doing anything and being compared with Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, that's historical. So you can talk about it's the Orioles, whatever. Yeah, it is, and I'm not going to sit here and go off and brag about it. But the Yankees, to their credit, took care of business, and that's what they. So I'm going to give them credit for that. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, they're great because they beat the Orioles. I mean, let's face it, the Orioles are not a good team, but there's this perception now that the Yankees can beat up on teams like the Orioles and the Royals and the Mariners and bad teams. But when they come and play the Cleveland Indians or the Astros, whenever the Yankees play the Astros, I don't even know when that's going to be. The Minnesota Twins, teams like that.
Right.
They split with the Twins. They just split with the Indians. These are the teams that they could see in the postseason, and I would like to see a little bit more success against those teams. I mean, in the first game against the Indians, the Yankees lost 19-5. They gave up 19 runs a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, to the Red Sox. They lost 19-3. And I'll say it again because I said it a couple of weeks ago when the Red Sox did it. It's only one loss. And the Yankees wound up winning the next two games they played. It was 3-2 and 6-5.
Right.
But then they lost the game on Sunday because CeCe came off the injured list and got knocked around a little bit. But I would like to see the Yankees look like a more solid team against good opponents. It's not hard to look good against bad opponents because if you don't have your full team, like the Yankees obviously haven't pretty much all season, you can still beat those teams, the bad teams. You're not necessarily going to do as well against a team that has a similar talent level to you, especially with Mike Ford playing first base.
Well, here
and
I got the schedule in front of me, brother. We're running out of time.
Yes.
But Athletics tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday.
Right.
Athletics 30th, 31st, and the 1st. Dodgers this coming weekend.
That could be a World Series preview right there.
And then the Mariners are in the middle. And then your boys, the Red Sox, coming in Labor Day weekend. Actually, no, Labor Day weekend.
Red Sox will be done by then. The Red Sox are like 17, 18 games out of first place.
Yeah, the Red Sox are 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And I shouldn't say Labor Day weekend. Labor Day is the 2nd.
Doesn't matter.
But Labor Day week, how's that? But, look at this. It's not a bad schedule. Yeah.
No, I mean, the Athletics are good. It's almost, I don't want to say it's as daunting as the Mets schedule coming up because the Mariners are not a good team, but the Athletics and the Dodgers, and that's all on the road. So the Yankees have to go out west, though that is typically a tough stretch. I mean, I'll be honest, I would love it if they can go 5-4 on that trip. Love it.
Right.
Because I'm figuring either the Athletics or the Dodgers, I could see them losing 2 out of 3 in both of those series.
By the way, I'm looking on the Yankees website. It says the most tickets you can buy is 19 tickets per household.
There you go. I don't know.
Who's buying 19 tickets?
Yeah, group sales. My man Buscema went to the Coney Island Cyclones yesterday. In fact, he didn't get me a Stallone bobblehead though. I'm a little
Brooklyn
disappointed.
Cyclones.
But yeah, he brought like 12 or 14 people with him for that one.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how many of them got bobbleheads. So we got to talk to the Brooklyn Cyclones about hooking us up with some Stallone bobbleheads.
The Rumble Ponies still owe us.
I know. Tell me about it.
Their Mets team too. By the way, brother, Your Family's Health every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Professor Janine Cook-Garrard from the NCC Nursing Department discusses health issues concerning us all. That's Your Family's Health every Tuesday at 3 p.m. right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. We have about 4 minutes left, brother, before Zach Turkel comes in, filling in for Big Ed, doing the Good Gold Show, filling some big shoes with Big Ed.
Massive shoes.
But I think Zach's up to it.
All right, 4 minutes is enough to talk about exhibition football because that's really all it deserves. The Jets looked pretty good in the 22-10 win over the Atlanta Falcons Thursday night, but they did lose linebacker Avery Williamson to a torn ACL, so he's done for the season. Williamson was the Jets' leading tackler last season, but was learning a new position because obviously the Jets signed, what's his name, Mosley, the linebacker, for crazy money, and he'll probably be the leading tackler this season. But surprisingly, Jets head coach Adam Gase actually took credit for having Williamson in the game still, and said, "I should have gotten him out of there." But he wanted to see him in more combinations because it's a new position for Williamson.
Sure.
But now you lose a pretty valuable guy on defense. And it's not a good look.
Why does ACLs fall apart on so many people?
Because it's a small ligament in your knee, and when it pops, it's got to be reattached. Otherwise you walk with a limp for the rest of your life. But now Le'Veon Bell is not going to play in any exhibition games because of what happened to Williamson. The Giants with Saquon Barkley are doing the same thing. I don't think Barkley's going to play any exhibition games before the Giants open the season with the Dallas Cowboys. Teams are being more cautious with their guys. The Giants beat the Chicago Bears, basically the Chicago Bears backups, in an exhibition game, 32-13.
Of course, brother.
Pretty much none of the Bears starters played.
Exhibition football. Why?
Yeah, because they make money. But Eli Manning had one drive. He was solid. The Giants had a 10-play, 79-yard drive that was capped with an 8-yard scoring pass from Manning to Benny Fowler III. Eli was 4 for 4 for 42 yards on that drive. Daniel Jones was good and bad, 11 for 14 for 161 yards and a touchdown. That was impressive, but Jones also had his rookie moments, looking quite inept on 2 fumbles. You can't fumble the ball twice? Come on.
No.
You can't let that happen. So the Giants are 2-0 in the preseason, and again, Saquon Barkley will not play during the preseason, even though he wants to.
Yeah, of course.
But you got to protect him.
You have to. That's what it's all about. Anyway, you're listening, or have been listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., talking sports. There'll be a podcast later on. I'm Rob Leonard. Tim, you are?
I'm still Tim Leonard.
And coming up next is a guy who's going to play the oldies for you. And he already has his own oldies show. But he's going to be filling in for Big Ed.
Pressure.
Which is a lot of pressure, but I think Zach's up
to
it.
Should open the show with Billy Joel pressure.
Yeah, I think Zach's up to it.
Not that you're feeling it, but
I want you to listen. Give Zach a call, 516-572-7440. He'll appreciate it. Because he likes hearing from you. We like to hear from you too, but I forgot to give the phone number.
Come on.
Next week we'll do it. Anyway, thanks for listening. I thought everyone knows the phone number, 516-572-7440. Anyway, take care, listen. I'll see you Friday with Beatles songs, and we'll see you in 167 hours with more From the Press Box. Bye.
The views expressed on air are not necessarily those of WHPC, its management, or Nassau Community College. Responsible opposing viewpoints will be considered by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu or by mail at WHPC 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York 11530. Thanks for listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.